All right, guys and girls, this is a what to do if you're changing the coolant on your Yamaha FJR1300. This would presumably be true for all models, but in this case, this is a 2011. I know there are lots of videos that show you not having to remove this lower cover, but in order to do this properly, you need access to the overflow tank or the expansion tank. Plus, you need access to the filler cap on top. Now, as you can see on this side, expansion tank here, we've got some pipe work that runs up around the radiator. That's the thermostat, and the filler cap is under here. So you're thinking, do I need to pull the front of the bike off? And the answer is no. 2 bolts here, which I've already removed, if I could speak. You've got one here and one there. So as long as this little glove box is open, which is actuated by turning the power on, you can then loosen this up, gently slide it over like that, and don't have to disconnect any of those wires underneath right there. They can all remain connected, and you just pop this up out the way over here without scratching the bodywork. You then got partial access, sorry, let me just turn this around just so that wire's out of the way. There we go. You've got partial access to the filler cap. Obviously, word of warning, do not open this if you've just been riding the bike. It is under pressure. Steam will blast out and scald you very, very badly. You have been warned. This must be done when the bike has been off and sitting and cold. So like this hasn't run since yesterday. Therefore, I know I'm safe to open it. I'm going to turn that round like that. You'll want to keep going round. There we go. And you've got just enough room to pull the filler cap out. We want to check and make sure that the seal on this is looking good, and it is. It should be even. This should have the ability to have some free pay because it gets tense under pressure. And at that point, you've got access to the filler neck right there. You can probably, hopefully, just about see that right there. And you've got access to the top of the expansion chamber, which is this guy right here. So it's actually a 2-parter. This calls for either 3.2 or 3.3 litres. I don't know what that is in imperial. That's within the coolant system as a whole. Generally speaking, it's a couple of litres plus the overflow tank, and you've got marks on here, which is low and full. So the book procedure, or the factory procedure, is that when this bike is completely cold, because you can't purge all the coolant that's actually inside the engine block, you will need to add about 3 litres. It could be 2.5, it could be 3, it could be slightly over 3, depending on your particular usage of the bike, how frequently it gets used and how long it's been since the last coolant change. In this case, the reservoir is completely empty. When I pop the drain plug, which is on the other side of the bike, so the right side of the bike under here, that little plug right there, by the way, do not use power tools. These are 8mm with a reusable copper washer. That's all that came out. So obviously it's critically low on coolant. That drain plug, normally when you remove it, it will come shooting out of there, hence the preparatory large bucket, but nothing was there in this case. And then the book calls for coolant that is alloy block friendly. So this is Penrite. It's a premix that comes. It's an OEM premix coolant. This is the green one. This is what was in the bike. I've seen this used. So that's the Penrite version. I've seen this stuff used, which is what we used on another bike. That's the Nulon version. Much of the same muchness, I think. Hopefully you find one on sale, but they'll both work. Penrite and Nulon, sort of much of a muchness here in Australia. They both work really well. And they're built for OEM specification alloy blocks. So this will work very well for your Yamaha. So that's what we're going to do. On this one, we've got, how much? Got about 2 litres left in here. We may get to the point where we have to use 3 litres of that. Word of warning, do not mix coolants. That should be obvious, but don't mix the 2 brands. Despite them both being compatible, they're made by different manufacturers, they have different components in them. Best to just go with one. And if you run out of coolant, like I get to 2 litres, great, drain it all out, and then go and buy more of that and top it up with the same brand. In this case, I think there's so little coolant in this bike, hence the dribble in the bucket, that we will just go straight through full fill on the Penrite. So there you go. Hopefully this video helps, just a little how-to, and best of luck. These are lovely bikes. When they're well maintained, they will keep you going for years and years and years, just like this 2011 has. Cheers everyone.